And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your sensei, Owl Bob. That's me, here to tell you a story as your griot. And don't believe a word I say. Well, I haven't been out and about because I don't have a car. My car blew up. My pony gave up the ghost, and it's the new normal. And it was almost like I'm going to go to the guys who sold me my old pony when it was a new pony and say, here, I hear on the road you'll give me $7,000, just drag it in, right? So I'll drag it in, and I'll see if they have an electric car and all kinds of tax, things. So I will, if I can get them to give me a car, and I'll pay them $100 a month, and they'll still own it, right? And let's go finance it, right? And they want to take it away, no problem. But then I'd have a pony that could at least get me around. And see, places like China are going all electric, right? Because they're putting charging stations everywhere because they have no oil, they have no gas. So they do have electricity. They have a couple big dams, and they got coal, and so they don't care, And they kind of know that burning coal isn't killing everyone. I mean, it's not good. It's not so much the carbon; it's all the heavy metals that go in there. When they first gave Alzheimer's, a Latin name, and they gave dystopian dysfunction of being what's the old person's malady, starts with a D. Well, I don't know. I'm an old person. I forgot. But that didn't exist. And when they kind of looked for it, they found about 1895, when they started looking at things more seriously, because they had science. And so they said, "Oh, look, it's about 1 in 1 million people have this disorder of dystopian distanglement of being old, right? And it comes in durations. It all starts with D, and that's pretty much what our life. If you were going to give it a grade like you got when you were in third grade, A, B, C, D, F, pretty much our world leaders and politicians and everyone who has something to say about how we live, I would give them a D, right? They're really not doing that good. Right? So they're trying to. There's this guy in England who's kind of cute, and he always goes on, and he's got loads of followers, right? So
I was thinking about that frog, the one it's in a big pan of water, and it's on very, very small amount of heat on the old gas ring, and very, very slowly the frog is being boiled alive. We mention it all the time, don't we, in reference to things that are going on at the moment. And it's interesting when you think about that frog, and he's not noticing that the temperature of the water is getting hotter and hotter until it's so hot that he either passes out or starts to panic because he realizes too late what's going on. And it's that sense of, it's just normal. The temperature is cold, and then very slowly, weeks later, it's tepid, and then weeks later, it's warm. And because he doesn't notice the change, he just thinks, it's normal. It's normal for the water to be cold. Later on, it's normal for the water to be warm. And he hasn't really noticed the change, perhaps. Or if he has, it's like, well, it doesn't really matter too much because it's incremental. And he cannot really conceive that the water is going to get that much hotter or uncomfortable for him. Now, of course, there are some people in this world who have been observing things and going, hang on a minute, this is a bit strange. But I think even now, there are people who've been watching, say, videos like mine, people's like, I don't know, Neil Oliver, and a whole terrain of other videos which have come up. And in the end, people are scrolling from one video that's telling them some terrible news is about to happen. Could be about chemtrails, which actually the government admit they're doing. I saw a screenshot actually in Wales earlier today. I'll put it on the screen. It says that it's going. Or it might be the fact that, I don't know, governments are indeed corporations and they're not really there voted by the people as an administration for the people, but they are for-profit administrations. And again, I saw a screenshot somebody showed me that the government had actually, had been dissolved. The company had just vanished and a new one was going to set up. And even though this is mentioned, I think people just watch these videos and they think to themselves, oh, that's interesting.
And a good example of that was in the 70s when we had the oil embargo. That's when our whole planet got jiggered into globalization thanks to Mr. Rothschild. He went to Mr. Kissinger was his chaw boy. And he went to China, and then he went to Nixon, and Nixon was having problems. And they said, well, want to go to jail? You just keep doing what you're doing. If anyone knew that the guy who passed Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and vitalized the 1965 Voting Act, who started OSHA and started elements of the EPA and gave them teeth. That was all Nixon, They would call him a liberal today, a progressive, part of AO's a cool gang. That would be Richard Nixon. He just was ahead of his time. So they said, stop this or keep that, but don't do any more. And what we want you to do is devalue the dollar, take it off the gold standard, right? And we will put it as the oil dollar, or petrodollar, right? And the thing that will be, because the United States is the largest oil producer, not Saudi Arabia. Now they have a lot under the ground, but if it wasn't for us, they couldn't take it out of the ground. And we keep it that way. And all the Emirates, we keep it that way. They have no educated people of their own country to run their system. We do, right? They don't have any of the pipelines, any of the drilling, any of that we do. Mr. Halliburton, Dickie Boy. So all of this is part of COG, continuation of government. Who's government, And that's what the cute little bald guy is talking about, right? So in 72, we started down this thing with the Civil War, but 72, it picked up speed. You could see the threads coming. You could see the tapestry being wove. And I'm sitting here praying, energetically sending this out into AI, who is right there. He just left when I mentioned it. Anyway, back to this guy.
People just watch these videos and they think to themselves, oh, that's interesting, or they're outraged, then they watch another one and that's interesting, or they're outraged and they watch another one, interesting, outrage, anger, and another, until it becomes just normal to sit there and go, oh yes, I'm going to be outraged today. It's just normal. Even though stuff is happening incrementally, things are happening to us. Oh, there's more cameras in the supermarket. There's more cameras in the street. The noise from the ambulances that keep coming up and down the road have increased. But they've increased incrementally so that it's normal. Oh, they're cutting down the trees over there. They're building more houses. Oh, well, we need houses, don't we? Until the countryside is ever shrinking. And farmers are not producing the amount of food that they perhaps ought to, or the type of food that they should, or the supermarkets are providing more and more highly processed foods, or the water it's got stuff in it that's not actually very healthy, but it's normal, isn't it? There's a sort of sense that everything's okay when it's normal, to the point that we really and truly, we don't notice that we are that frog slowly rising in temperature in a water that is getting hotter and hotter, because it's incremental, it's normal. But it isn't really normal. It isn't normal that we're getting the tension happening, that more and more people are dying every day. And they didn't used to do that, but it was after a certain medical intervention that everybody...
Yeah. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and no one's watching. But I want to ask you, I live like a millionaire now on $200 a month, right? So, how about something the old PayPal? Do to wake 42 at Gmail, do to wake 42 at Gmail. And if you want to talk personally, mano a mano, with your Sensei Bob here, go to my email, which is the dudawake42 at Gmail, dudawake42 at Gmail, and leave me a message. And if you're in America, leave me your phone number. I'll give you a ring a ding ding. And there are about 100 people that are my proteges, people who have the guts, had the desperateness to get a hold of me. They give me the phone number and talk to them, and I've kind of, they've changed their lives, but I've given them the back for it. I've let them feel the wind of God's unconditional love and Jesus' unconditional forgiveness, because that's the only thing that's going to fix all this, right? And I was talking to one of my moron scholastic friends who thinks he knows everything, and thinks I'm full of hogwash. And I constantly say, "Don't believe a word I say." And he goes, "I don't stop saying that. Got to believe in something." And I believe. I don't believe in belief. That's right. Plus, I've seen too many people get ruined by believing something. I mean, that semi-scholastic, somewhat interesting monkey who I talked to last night. Who is like, he comes from a family. Really hasn't had to work a day in his life. Now, I work all the time, but I work at things I enjoy doing. I always have, so it's not work, right? And I had a number of skill sets that I got paid really well for, right? But I don't do them anymore because I got to a point. A couple of them were killing me. Working for the Desperate Warriors basically really killed me, And the other physical things, being a master electrician, being a contractor, doing that kind of stuff, kind of lots of physical work. And I burned out every joint in my body. Right? My doctors don't even, I'm a dead man walking. Which kids, if you don't know it or not, so are you. Once you're born, the only thing you know for sure is you're going to die, period. You might as well start living. And people don't do that. They worry. They kvetch. They go nuts. They do like this guy, the cute little ball guy. Let's go back there.
It was after a certain medical intervention that everybody was mandated into having, pretty much, or persuaded. And that sort of sense that if you say something that other people disagree with, oh no, we'll shut you down. That's all normal. And I just kind of started to think, what kind of life is it that we're acquiescing to? What kind of life is it that we're just considering is normal? We are we not, being corralled, if you like, into a world of ever more limitations, ever more asking for permissions, ever more living in this corporate Britain I attended a course the other day. I was very kindly invited to attend a course with Sovereign Pete, and he was talking about sovereignty, about taking back the responsibility that you are your own court, you are your own law, that actually if you do no harm to others, you don't need half the time so many of these rules. You might have guidelines, or you might agree as a bunch of people trying to live together on certain things, and you say, well, actually, if I do no harm to you and I respect your limits and I respect your abilities, then we could get along quite happily. But do I need to have cameras in the supermarket spying on me? Do I need to have cameras on the gantries on motorways if I happen to go a couple of miles an hour above a certain speed limit? And who sets the speed limit? And how do they know what's good for me? And why is, for example, 20 miles an hour now a perceived thing? And who really is saying that I should abide by a policy of net zero? Why should people come after my wood-burning stove, for example, when actually, if you're burning wood and I'm buying it from the local economy and putting my money into the local economy rather than, say, the big six corporations that are wanting to supply electricity, if I'm putting it into the local economy and burning up the logs and wood that is being chopped down, which is a renewable product and can be grown again and it is good for the environment, why also, if those particulates that are going up that people say, oh, but they're bad for you, and yet actually the ash, of course, the product of the burnt wood, is something that goes into fertilizer that helps plants grow, and that actually CO2 that's coming out of the chimney also helps plants grow, that it's actually helping the planet rather than not. It is a strange thing. Oh no, it becomes normal to hate people who are doing something perhaps that is a bit different to what the government and what society wants us to do, because it becomes normal. And it does seem that normalisation of things that we before thought were pretty normal in themselves. We used to think that a mum and a dad and a couple of children was the norm. And yet now we're told, of course, that men can be women and women can be men. People are quite happy to bring up parent families are normal. Now, whilst I have no problem with anybody wanting to pretend if they're a man that they're a woman and dress up and all of that, or if they want to have no partner and adopt a child and be a one-parent family, I have no qualms with any of that. Of course, I'm happy for people to be happy and to try and fulfill their wishes and their needs. Why wouldn't I be? But I wouldn't say that was normal. I mean, history, tradition, and custom shows us that that isn't normal, but it does seem that normal is being changed, the new normal. You know, after that pandemic, we were told there's going to be a new normal. Well, who's changing the normal? Who's setting the agenda? Who's saying that we have to have this new normal? Who effectively is turning up the gas on that frog incrementally so that the frog inside realizes it's normal? And maybe that we have allowed that to happen because we're too busy taking our advice and our sense of what's going on in the world from things like the mainstream media, for example. We're not challenging things anymore. We're taking our sense of what's right and proper, perhaps from the schooling that we're having, from the corporations who employ us, who say, here's our set of policies and we want you to agree to them and acquiesce to them, until whatever somebody else has decided is now the new normal. But is it normal? It's only normal if you accept, if everybody agrees that actually we'll all have a smart meter, we'll all get rid of our cars, we'll all put chains round us, we'll all eat bugs, we'll all acquiesce to whatever the government wants and not leave and stay in front of these big screens, we'll all drink poisoned water, we'll all permit the skies to be filled with chemtrails and all sorts of heavy metals rain down upon us, we'll all accept perhaps the next medical information, or we'll have a booster because it's normal. It's normal to do so. But what is normal? Is normal a good thing? Or is normal really us not using our minds and our thoughts and critical thinking and actually thinking, hang on a second, this might be what everybody else is doing, but is it really good? Should I be doing it? And is it normal for me?
Well, that's the cute little bald guy from England, and he's quite the orator. He does pick it up. Me, I'm just a gray. I don't believe a word I say. But what is your new normal? What is your normal? Right? Mr. Martyr to Artist, what's your normal? Right? You wake up every morning and go, wow, I feel great. And you walk outside and it's a beautiful day. And you see somebody and you go see that they're having a hard time. How you doing? Can I give you a hand? You have a skill set that you share with people. And don't, if they want to give you something, that's cool. They don't or can't, that's cool too. That's my one. So, let's see. I have things to do, people to see. It's 10 o'clock-ish. Oh, I switched up my phone a little bit. Clean that off. So, Martyred Artist, what's your normal? And I can't see what you're writing unless you kind of put it in caps. So, I get every kind of second, third word. Let's see. Time to go. Let's see. I choose to be well. Good. Very good. Glad to hear that.